You check your investment account for what feels like the 100th time this month, and the number just stares back at you. $30,000. And you think, I worked hard for this. I said no to trips. I drove the same car. I packed lunches that got sat at the bottom of my work bag. And yet, somehow, life feels exactly the same as before I started saving. Same stress, same apartment, same quiet hum of financial anxiety in the background. And this tiny, exhausting voice starts asking, is this even worth it? My name is Nico, and I spend way too much time thinking about money. And today I want to answer that question because there is a specific mathematical, psychological reason why $30,000 feels like almost nothing even when it isn't. More importantly, I want to show you why the jump from $30,000 to $60,000 in net worth is not just progress, it's a category shift. Something genuinely different happens at that level, and most people have no idea why. By the end of this video, you're going to see exactly what that shift is, what's blocking most people from reaching it, and why understanding this might reframe your entire relationship with saving. If that's the kind of stuff that gets you, hit subscribe and drop a thumbs up. I make these for people in the grind, and it helps more than you know. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine two people climbing the same mountain. At the base, the climb is brutal for both of them. Steep, slow, and you can barely see past the trees. One of them stops halfway up, sets up camp, and decides to wait. The other keeps going. Here's where it gets really interesting. The higher you climb, the more of the landscape you can actually see. Paths that were completely invisible from the valley come into view. Options appear. Destinations that felt unreachable start to look accessible. That's the difference between $30,000 and $60,000. It's not that the number doubled, it's that the altitude changed what you can see. So why does $30,000 feel the way it does? Here's the thing. $30,000 is genuinely meaningful. According to Federal Reserve data, the median American has far less than that in liquid savings and investments. So if you're at $30K, you're already ahead of where most people are. But here's the psychological trap. $30,000 is just big enough to feel real and just small enough to feel fragile. One medical bill, one car breakdown, one unexpected job gap, and it's gone, or at least it feels that way. So your brain is stuck in this uncomfortable middle space between pride and fear. You have savings, but you're afraid to use them, and they don't feel like they're actually working for you. That tension is exhausting. It makes the money feel static, almost decorative. And here's the part that will blow your mind. When you run the math on $30,000 invested at 8% annually over 10 years, which is a reasonable long-term market estimate, you end up with roughly $65,000. Which sounds great, right? You turned $30K into $65K without lifting a finger. But now put $60,000 into that same scenario. Same 8%, same 10 years. That number becomes approximately $130,000. Not $70,000, not $80,000, $130,000. You started with twice as much and you ended with twice as much, but the gap in raw dollars keeps growing with every passing year. That's the engine. That's what compounding actually looks like when it has real fuel to work with. And the math is brutal when you look at the flip side. The years you delay getting to $60K are years you're missing the growth. You're missing the growth on the growth. Let me introduce you to two people. Jordan is 31, works in project management, makes around $65,000 a year. Jordan has been disciplined for 3 years, not obsessively, but real. Got to $32,000 in a Roth IRA and brokerage account. And Jordan feels like something should have changed by now, but it hasn't. Same job, same apartment. Occasionally, Jordan wonders if the sacrifices are worth it because nothing feels materially different. Now meet Tyler. Tyler is 33, similar income, similar discipline, and crossed $60,000 about 4 months ago. On the outside, Tyler's life looks nearly identical to Jordan's. But something shifted internally. Tyler stopped feeling anxious about the account and started feeling curious about it. Tyler started running numbers on what retiring at 55 might actually look like, not because it's tomorrow, but because it became thinkable. Options appeared that simply weren't visible before. That invisible dividend, the expansion of what feels possible, is something $60,000 pays that $30,000 doesn't.
What's actually happening here comes down to something I think of as financial escape velocity. In physics, escape velocity is the minimum speed you need to break free from a gravitational pull. Below it, you fall back. Above it, you break orbit. Money has the exact same dynamic. Below a certain threshold, you're constantly fighting gravity. One bad month, one big expense, one emotional moment of, you know what, I've been grinding for years and I deserve this trip, and you get pulled back. Above that threshold, the money starts to compound fast enough that you can actually feel it moving. You stop being in a relationship of fear with your savings, and you start being in a relationship of momentum. Here's where it gets brutal, though. Most people never cross $60,000, not because they don't earn enough, but because of what happens right when they start getting close. Lifestyle inflation. And it's so sneaky. You get a raise, you pay off a debt, you finally feel like you have some breathing room, and almost automatically spending rises to fill the space. Nicer apartment, new car payment, better vacations, and again, none of those individual choices are wrong, but together they act exactly like gravity. They hold you just below escape velocity. People work harder, earn more, and still never quite break through to the altitude where compounding does real work. According to data from Bankrate, the majority of Americans who earn above $100,000 a year still live paycheck to paycheck. Income alone doesn't get you there. What you do with the gap between income and spending is everything. The psychology behind this is well documented. Researchers call it hedonic adaptation. Our remarkable human ability to normalize improvements in our lives almost instantly after we get them. That $450 car payment felt like a luxury for about 6 weeks. Now it just feels like a bill. The upgraded apartment was exciting for a season. Now it's just where you live. And here's the crazy part. Those choices are permanently redirecting money away from investments that would have been compounding right now while you're doing absolutely nothing. The sacrifice isn't just the purchase price, it's everything that money would have become over the next decade.
Now, I want to be honest about something here because this is important. I am not telling you that wanting nice things is a character flaw. Wanting to travel, wanting a comfortable home, wanting a car you actually like, those are completely valid human desires. Nobody should live like a financial monk at 32. The point isn't deprivation, the point is information, because what most people never actually calculate is the invisible cost of delay. Every dollar that doesn't reach $60,000 by the time you're in your mid-30s is a dollar that misses some of the most powerful compounding years of your life. You're not just spending the money, you're spending the $40, $50, sometimes $100 that money would have become. And here's where it gets really interesting on the identity side of things. Research consistently shows that above certain wealth thresholds, money begins to shift how people see themselves. Not just their balance sheet, it changes what feels possible. People who cross $60,000 in invested assets start operating on a longer time horizon. They make decisions with a 10-year lens instead of a paycheck-to-paycheck lens. That shift in mental operating system is arguably more valuable than the dollars themselves. Because once you start thinking long-term, every financial decision gets sharper. You evaluate purchases differently. You ask, what is this actually worth to me in 5 years, instead of, do I want this right now? That question alone will change your financial life more than any budget spreadsheet ever will. This is why I think $60,000 is the real first milestone, not the first $10,000, not the first $30,000. Those matter, and you should mark them, because building any savings at all in a world designed to extract money from you is real. But $60,000 is where the math starts whispering to you. It's where options start appearing. It's where compounding graduates from a concept you read about to something you actually feel.
So, what do you do with this? If you're below $30,000, the work is habit and consistency. Keep going. If you're in the $30,000 to $60,000 range, understand that this is the most critical stretch you will ever face. Lifestyle inflation hits hardest here, right when income starts picking up, right when you feel like you've earned something.
The single most important move you can make in this phase is to avoid letting your spending rise as fast as your income. Not eliminating growth, not suffering, just creating a gap. Redirect half of every raise before you feel it. Automate the difference. Keep your fixed costs low while your income climbs. That gap is where $60,000 gets built. And when you get there, protect it, because that money is working quietly while you're living your life. The person you are at 55 is being built by the choices you're making right now. And there is something powerful about that once you really sit with it, not just intellectually, but emotionally. The idea that consistent, patient, unsexy decisions today are quietly constructing a version of your future self who has real options. Not theoretical someday options, actual choices about how you spend your time and who you spend it with. Money doesn't have to be this exhausting, anxiety-driven thing. It can be something you understand, something you direct, something that pulls forward instead of pulling back. That's what crossing $60,000 starts to unlock, and you can absolutely get there. If this video gave you something to think about, share it with someone who's in the grind right now, someone saving and sacrificing and wondering if it's worth it. Because it is. They just need to see the math. Thumbs up if this landed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.